Okay, so let's do the following. Let me show you a deck that I have built in a draft, and you will tell me what is wrong with it. And then
So I can tell you what's right with it already. The fact that the deck box had the red-white rare in it. That's like one of the best rares in the format, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, it's extremely like it's
It's
ridiculous.
Winota. It's
Yeah.
Winota, but just a 3-drop.
Yeah. So the things I'm not sure about. I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. The things I'm not sure about is this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually pretty happy with this card as well. Normally, this effects suck, but
Yes.
but the fact that there's like an extra card stuck onto it, and all my things are kind of okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, it can't cast Guardian, and I learned it
Yes.
the hard way.
Yeah.
So this is really a 4-drop. But aside from that, I'm kind of happy to get anything. So yeah, I mean, I guess the cards that I identify as the worst are these. This. I mean, this when it works, it's good, but when it doesn't, it's kind of overpriced. I mean, obviously, this 2-drop doesn't do much in my deck. It only has 3 hits. This and the 2-drop there. This is insane. Like, I actually recently casted just to kill their artifact and deal 2 damage. It's a good card.
It's a shatter that is actually a bomb spell.
I'm not sure about why this is so good, but I guess, yeah, it's certainly a card that I underestimated, but it performs really well. I don't know, this is a bit slow, but like a 2-drop is a 2-drop, and the upside is good enough. This has nice stats. So yeah, I guess this 5 cards are the ones that I would... I mean, this cave is also dubious, but I'm like... My mana base is okay to support it, I think. So yeah, so these are the cards that I identify as like the worst in my deck. What do you think?
I almost completely agree. I personally don't like Daring Discovery, and here's why. Typically, so as a short overview of this format, it's quite aggressive. Think of it as very similar to what Guilds of Ravnica was when Boros and Celestia were like the dominant decks. It's extremely similar to that format where Boros was sort of the king, where you can just go really big, small flyers become big eventually, and then just outrush them. The best card typically in those decks, but you only have to want to have a one of, was the Cosmotronic Wave, or however it was called. The 4 mana, deal 1 to everything, make everything that can't block, right?
Yeah.
That was 4 mana. This is 5, and it's only up to 3 creatures. Sure, you get a 4-drop for the cost, but you don't want to be playing a 5 mana card to get typically a 2-drop, especially with the curve this aggressive. And typically red-white decks are aggressive. So you don't want to be playing 5 mana Falter pretty much, which is just not great value. So I rate that card quite poorly, even though decks like this always want to have an effect like this. Well, not always, but majority of the time.
Yeah.
Panicked Altarsaw is good. It's not great in this deck because of, once again, low curve.
But I'm playing 17 lands, so I can...
Yeah, this is the problem I was going to lead into a bit later on. But yeah, Panic Altarsaw is fine. You don't want to obviously overload on them. You can have like 2... Running 2 of them is perfectly fine if you have a few more of the land cyclists in the deck, like 1 or 2 of them, because then you're a bit more consistently hitting the lands. This deck has none of them, but still it's not a bad card to run. It's definitely the sort of the 19th to 23rd card, 24th card of the deck for sure. Burning Sun Cavalry and Crackshot. Southern Cavalry is definitely not in the right archetype here. It's definitely more of a red and green card, and even in that archetype you probably want to run other cards, in my opinion at least. Thousand Moon Crackshot, I honestly rated quite poorly, since there's definitely better 2-drops in the set. especially in red and white, and you barely have the 3 mana to pay for it, especially since you want to commit to the board more and more and more and more and more. Sure, situations will come up, but it's rare, more rare to use it rather than not to use it, right?
Yep.
So it's yeah, I fully agree that those cards are the weakest cards in the deck as far as the deck plan goes. But the deck itself is definitely a solid 7 or 8. You have a very decent finisher in an Impakal. You have a bunch of flyers, which is important for this deck. And I'll get to, we'll segue this into Miner's Guidewing on why that card is really good in the format, as well as there's another card. Let me just find the name for it. It is Ruin Lurker Bat. So those are the 1 mana 1/1 flyers in the set. Both of them are obscenely good. Obviously, Ruin Lurker Bat is a bit better because of lifelink, since it's a bit more relevant. But then again, Vigilance can be relevant as well. And here's why. In this format, from what I've noticed, there's a lot of just accidental ways of pumping your creatures. And even though like green-white is supposed to be the theme of, you know, pumping your creatures, you putting counters on them and so on, but even in other colors you can find cards that actually work off that. Even looking at cards like Dreadmore Ire, Deconstruction Hammer, Iron Paw Aspirant one is a very good 2-drop, so even that makes it better. So straight off the board, if you go turn 1 Miner's Guidewing, turn 2 Aspirant, you have a 2/2 flyer, which is typically a 3 mana thing. And it has Vigilance, which is relevant. And even if they kill it, you get to Explore, which is almost draw a card or pump something. So the card, for its value, is obscenely good. And obviously, since you have an Impakal, that works even better. The Capricotl Sunborn works with it as well, since you can attack and then tap it for the effect. This uncommon, in my opinion, is insanely good. Then again, all the border post uncommons, as they call them, in just color combinations are stupidly good in my opinion. So good in fact that even if you are playing blue-white, you can splash the red, either one, the blue-red or the red-white one, doesn't matter. They all work between themselves extremely well as well. That card, I've had friends and people I know say that card should be banned in at least 37 countries, the red-white uncommon, because it's just stupid on how much value it provides, especially being a 4 mana 4/4. But yeah, the deck has a lot of, your deck has late game, which is quite important in this sort of plan. That's sort of a plan B. Meanwhile, having an aggressive 2-drop curve with how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 2-drops, which is definitely a place where you want to be. So Healer's Lattice is a bit of a feels bad, but it's fine, especially since you're running a bit more lands than I typically would prefer. Since in these sort of decks, I would prefer running 16 lands. 15 if you have land cyclers, which you don't, but because you don't really need to go a lot of mana that often. But you know, you have 3 cards that are 5 mana, 4 cards that are 4 mana. 16 lands is more than sufficient to run that.
Okay, let's have a look at the sideboard that I have.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I already see a few changes that I would like to make at least.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Ancestor's Aid is a card that I personally like a lot. Since it is an aggressive format, there's a lot of blocking and chumping involved. This just makes chumping, obviously, well, chumping from your side, not really chumping anymore. Suddenly you win the combat. And makes a treasure token, which sort of makes the card feel less bad. Also, surprisingly, it's a pump spell that allows splashing to work better.
Yep.
Which is sort of surprising for me that a pump spell does that, but apparently it does. The only problem with it that I often run into, because I like the card, frankly, probably a bit too much than I should, where I typically run like 2 or 3 copies of them in my decks. And what keeps on happening is I run the red-white uncommon, right? Discover into this. It's kind of a feels bad, but then at least you have a 6/4 first striker with, which definitely, you know, sort of demands a block, but at the same time it's just throwing away a creature. But it's just free value as such, and obviously combat tricks in red-white is always a good plan to have, especially when you have flyers as well. Another card I want to highlight in the sideboard there is Rumbling Rockslide. While it is a 4-mana removal, removal that is good on larger creatures is a bit short when it comes to the Jeskai color combination in general, since that's what I focus on typically in my draft. At least I pay the most attention to them. The only good removals in those color combinations is Petrify and the Dusk Rose Reliquary, the white glass casket but not really glass casket. Those are like the two good cards to get things removed off. But if you're not playing white, you're kind of stuck, because blue can offer you the Feeds of Piranhas or whatever it's called. Forgot that. Eaten by Piranhas. Yeah, there you go. You can provide that, which is a way to deal with it, but after that you're kind of just stuck. So Rumbling Rockslide is definitely, I rate it as a premium removal spell, even though it doesn't look like it, nor it feels like one. But it just oftentimes gets rid of a lot of troublesome creatures where if they just come on the board, you kind of, almost want to give up.
Yeah.
So I would typically like to play that over a Daring Discovery in your deck, or over an additional land.
And so yeah, I mean that's a good idea. I just want to clarify. So as you see in this draft, I was a bit memeing a little bit, because my deck was already kind of good. So I was like, okay, I have this bad colony. Maybe I pick up enough caves, and yeah. So like, I mean, this is just a meme. I haven't, like, I don't think that anyone has activated this ever.
I have actually, and I went 3-0 with the deck like this. The only, just looking archetypes wise, typically running a Caves Matter deck is sort of a trap, but it's only a good way, like, it's only a good deck. It's only going to be a good deck if you're the only person drafting Caves in the table, and there's actually some payoffs. Because unfortunately, all the payoffs for Caves that really matters are uncommons. So Bat Colony, the red board wipe, Spelunking is not really a good one, but there's like a Ram spell for 2 mana that gets a cave out of the graveyard onto the battlefield. There's like payoffs that you kind of want to find, but they're super rare, and Bat Colony is like the biggest payoff that you can really find. So it's definitely one of those sort of, it's a risky pick. I wouldn't say it's a meme, but if you get like early on a couple of Bat Colonies and you're still in the pack 1 of the draft, I'd say you can definitely try and prioritize the caves a bit more, and then in that case Bat Colony can just shit out insane value and just provide a lot of value in general, not only with the 3/1/1s, but with the counters as well, especially considering that you're providing a lot of flyers.
Yeah, but I mean, I have a feeling that for this to be actually good, you have to have 8 caves in your deck.
I'd say about 10.
But this is like, I mean, we can have a look at the draft actually, how I was drafting this. Let me open Firefox and let me
in an ideal world, the number should be around 10. The problem is, statistically speaking, since 24 packs are going to be opened, about 12 caves are only going to exist that are non-rares. Obviously, uncommons exist, they don't take up the land slot, because the common caves, like Hidden Nursery that you got there, they take place instead of a basic land. So caves are a bit more common than you would typically think, but at the same time, you're going to have about 12 of the colored ones, or like the colorless common ones. And then when it comes to uncommons, it's a complete gamble. Sometimes, a lot, sometimes none.
I see. Let me share the screen and let's go through the peaks. Wait, change windows. Okay, here we go. And let me actually put it here, and let me change the OBS capture to 1 sec. Okay, here we go. Okay, so yeah, so here, like, I have spent more on thinking what will wheel than than on making a decision about the first pick.
Yeah, that's completely correct. I was about to say that. Like, if when you open up a rare like this, even if it is a multicolored rare, the only task that you have is trying to memorize the pack, or at least trying to memorize what cards should not be in the pack anymore, at least, or maybe should be in the pack any after the 7 other people touch the pack. Because then obviously you could try to pinpoint, okay, what colors may be open. Because in this case, yeah, we take that. I'd say 7 other people are taking it. So what we can expect not to be in the pack? Tinker's Totes, Wailing Pirates, Oaken Siren definitely not in the pack anymore. Poison Dart Frog, sorry, because it's pretty much the only good green card. Someone might take the Primordial Noah since it's the only black card. So that makes it how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Glorify of Suffering might not wheel, and Gold Fury Strider might not wheel. So those are pretty much it. I can imagine.
People are not. People don't understand how good this is.
Oh, it's super good.
Yeah.
In this format, flyers are. They are extremely important, and there's quite a lot of them, but there's quite a lot of them in blue and white, mostly blue. That's why blue is the best color in this format, at least in my opinion, because there's a lot of flyers and they're very efficient for their cost. It's not like Windrakes plenty. No. They are actually on cost, really good for their stats, and have some abilities attached to them most of the time.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of failed, I guess, because I wasn't. I actually kind of failed to count like 7 cards, and what I was. I was just looking. I was just kind of hoping that maybe I'll will this or this, because I have a feeling that this card kind of looks a bit inconspicuous, but I think that this is like very good card. It kind of does everything.
It is one of the better green commons. The problem with green is the fact that its commons are pretty. There's not a lot of very good commons in green, and this is actually one of the good commons. And especially since there's only two green cards in the pack, and only one of them is good, I really don't expect Poison Dart Frog to wheel.
Yeah.
This is a rampant growth, but even an inconsistent one. So.
Yeah. Okay, so then this was a bit tricky. I'm glad that I think I made correct pick here. Because I was kind of looking at, so the cards I was considering was this one, this one to a lesser degree. I mean, I felt like, okay, like my dream was that, okay, if I have a lot of tokens from this, then this is just 5 mana win the game. But then this is 3 mana win the game, so like maybe this is win more. Then the things I was considering was this and this, and I figured that I have this heuristic when I'm drafting, like when I'm deciding what to pick, does the thing that I want to pick instead of the other thing actually even deals with that other thing? And like none of these cards are like good enough to kill the 4/4 flyer, so I just took 4/4 flyer. I mean, it kind of sucks because I'm just really putting myself on white because it's double white, but what can you do?
Yeah, it's one of those like, if we completely ignore the first pick, I'd say you took the second best card, because the best card in the pack was Thrashing Brontodon. But we kind of, obviously, since we have a red-white card already, we have a slight affinity towards those colors, so picking up the Angel is definitely not a bad pick. Okay, so this is a hot take of my own. I really don't understand why Sunfire Torch is rated and picked so low. I rate it typically as like a 3rd to 5th pick, typically. Since we're coming back to the same subject of flyers are important, White has 2 1-drop flyers that are very good. If you attach this to a 1-drop flyer, suddenly you have 2 power for flying creatures already on turn 2 that attack. And if it's a life linker, congratulations, you have a 4 life swing per turn. Good luck, opponent, to deal with it. And then even if they play a flyer, you can just sack this to kill the flyer. It's literally a shock that is a pump spell for a while before you even need that shock. I really don't understand why people underrate this card. But in a vacuum, in general, Guardian is definitely the correct pick. Um, I personally would pick Sunfire Torch over the Idol. I don't really like a 3-mana shock, especially when there's a 1-mana shock in the same pack.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
but
of
that's, I
course.
guess, a
Between
personal.
these two, I would pick Sunfire Torch as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, this was tricky.
Mm-hmm.
So like, kind of on. I mean, I really wanted to pick Siren here.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't hate Tomb Raider,
Mm-hmm.
but I figured, okay, like, even if this ability never triggers,
Yep.
it's still a 3/2, which is good stats.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I mean, if this ability triggers somehow, then maybe I'll even go harder. Another thing that I was considering was Toad, and
Yep.
that's about it. Well, I really wanted to pick Siren here. Yeah. So what do you think?
I think you made the correct pick, yelling even if we ignore the first 2 picks. And here's why. This pack is sort of set up to be a bait. Since even if we pick Spyglass Siren, pick 3, the person to your left on pick 4 is going to get Waterwind Scout. So you literally have, in my opinion, what is the best common and the best uncommon in the set in the same pack. Both of them being blue. So like even if you pick a Spyglass Siren, the person getting a like at least 1 or 2 to your left is getting a signal of, hey, blue is open because you're getting this Waterwind Scouter way too late, which is it's setting up a very sticky situation on pack 2 where the person to your left is going to be blue, or the second person to your left is going to be blue, and then you're going to get no blue cards.
Yeah,
So
and blue's
sending
kind of long here as well. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. Yes. But when we look at all the red and white cards, yeah, it's, in my opinion, between Toad and Yearling, and Toad is a bit more of a synergistic card rather than just a powerful card. And since we are at least looking at a red white, we're not locked in at red white, obviously. But if we're looking prematurely at red white, we kind of want to run a belligerent Yearling rather than a Toad. Obviously, Toad works better with a Guardian, but works worse with the Animpakal.
Yeah.
So
This was my tiebreak, that this creates
yeah,
gnomes and it doesn't trigger
yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So now it was also pretty
Mhm.
clear.
Yep.
I don't even know what to say about it here. Yeah, I think this is a very, very clear cut pick.
It is, yeah, it is a completely clear cut. I would like, especially when you have a clear pick like this in the pack. Uh, Oftentimes just try to pay attention what else is in the pack and what signals you're sending. So, for example, when you're sending off this pack, you're not really sending off anything aggressively white or red to the person to the left of you. So you still keep those colors to yourself, which is good. But once again, you're sending a good card
Blue.
in Charter Course. Yeah. So you're really sending a very strong blue signal to the person to the left. At this point, you can almost say that the person to your left or the second person to your left is definitely blue with the blue cards you're sending through.
Yep. Yeah, this is actually somewhere. My thinking was, oh, if only I took Siren, then here I would take Chart. But then I was like, but then this is where I started thinking, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna at least I'm the white drafter among us. Yeah. Here, oh, that was so hard. Like between Deconstruction Hammer and an aggressive 2-drop, I figured that. I mean, I don't know. I probably should have taken Hammer here, but actually, here there are a lot of options. This is also okay, but not in this deck, I don't think.
It's fine. It's definitely not bad. It allows you to splash. So even if a decent blue card comes around, you can take it away and splash it, or a green card comes and you can just nab it and splash. It's definitely not bad. But yeah, Vanguard is definitely a bit better in the plan that we want to be. And red white is aggressive, obviously in its nature. 3-1 that is a bit hard to deal with is good, especially if we're making a lot of gnomes with an Impakal, or we have a Miner's Guide in which we can sacrifice and then have an Explore trigger as well. It works very well with the deck that we're having, and it's an aggressive creature. I looking over to the the construction hammer, it is a good card. I just don't value it that highly.
I don't know. I didn't value it highly in the beginning, but it's. I think it's removal and bump and like. I don't know. The destroy target artifact or enchantment is very powerful. I think in this.
It is powerful, but it is technically 4 mana, which is quite a lot. 1 to equip, 3 to tap and sacrifice. And we're on red white aggressive deck, so most of the time this is going to be a +1/+1 for 1 equip, which is everything that's relevant to us on that card. The whole deconstruction part of the destroy, the disenchant of it, it's a nice extra. That's all it is, really.
Okay. Then, okay. So here, I was looking at the sweeper, which I don't need it because it's not. It heals me more than them.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at this card. I think it's kind of bad. So
it's not great.
Yeah.
There was a very similar card in the Phyrexia set, the recent one, where it had Toxic 1 and it find a land and put it on basic land and put it on top. It was okay. It wasn't great. You didn't typically want to have it in your deck, but if you really lack on 2-drops, it's fine.
Yeah. Here another thing that I was looking at is this, but it has equip too, so I was like, no, thank you.
Yep, and once again, you're sending 2 actually decent blue cards. Clockwork Wrestler is definitely better than he looks, at least in my opinion. I have an affinity for all the -2, -0 flashy effects, but that's just personally my opinion. And that is typically a combat trick and artifact creature which works with synergies, and then island cycling dinosaur is typically one or 2 land cycling dinosaurs in your deck.
Yeah, especially
so,
in the slower blue decks. I don't know if they are actually slower in this.
Not even those, even the aggressive ones, because even in the aggressive ones, you always have, that this is technically a land that whenever you have, a slower turn, you can always cash that in for a land, or if you're just in a top deck mode and you draw this, it's a big old dinosaur.
Yeah.
It's hard to get rid of.
So I took this. I mean, I like this card from my experience in playing sealed. It normally disables their three creatures that can actually block me. So I took it. And then here is kind of what we were discussing. I wanted to take a 2-drop, but I figured that this 2-drop, it's okay to run 1 and like not more than 1, because as you said, I'm not really activating this ability all that often. And then I figured, okay, this is uncommon, and this also provides, so I will not see many of those. And it also provides me with this meme tactic of spamming the board with flyers and then maybe pumping my stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think I missed on too much here.
No, it's either the Child of the Volcano or the 2-drop weren't that great of picks anyway. They're obviously in the perfect world, in hindsight, obviously taking the 2-drop is definitely better. But the fact that Lodestone Needle is like still here, pick 7. Oh, the blue player is just getting their Christmas presents way too early at this point. The cards is bonkers, and getting it so late. Oh, at this point, I would be even tempted myself to go into blue, but at this point, even if you do, pack 2, you're not going to see a single blue card, which is going to be extremely rough. And we have 3 white cards, 2 red cards. We're not really invested into one color to say that, okay, we can, just have some fun and just have a bit of this, bit of that color, splash this, splash that. Not really in that position.
The thing about picking this bat colony here was that I noticed that in the packs before, I actually have seen 0 caves. So people are actually drafting caves.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not going to work out. And then it
obviously we can just scroll back and see, but I didn't notice. It's always a good thing, I guess, in this format to notice if there's a basic land in the pack or not, because the cave always replaces a basic land. So if you see a lot of basic lands like we did in this part, there's only 2 caves that were in those packs. So it's not that people were picking caves, it's just that there weren't any caves.
Yeah, I didn't know that they replace basic lands. Why didn't they just replace basic lands always with a cave? Like,
Because then caves would be a lot more consistent and a lot more powerful. You don't want that. You don't want fun strategies to be good as well, huh? No,
no.
that's illegal.
I see. I see. Brought to you by the company who made Arcane, Splice onto
Yep,
Arcane.
yep.
Okay, so we take this, then we get a cave, and I probably should have taken this, but
You are correct. You probably should have taken the 2-drop. It works
especially a
well
good
with
one.
what we have. Typically, red white has the whole synergy of tap 2 creatures or artifacts do something. It works well with that. It obviously rummages through your hand, which is a very good effect that you want in an aggressive deck.
Yeah.
The land, while it is great in the red white, you typically want to minimize on having enter the battlefield tap lands. But it's not a very bad pick, don't get me wrong. It's not even a bad pick, I would say. But I think the correct pick was a 2-drop.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely want to. There's no such thing in a red white deck as too many 2-drops.
Yep.
And now the pack returns. Okay.
Yeah. So we didn't really wheel anything. I probably should have taken.
Wow. Someone even took the tree. Wow. Um yeah, the only thing that comes to my mind that I see here is like, okay, Pirates is still in the pack. What the hell? Um yeah, it doesn't really matter. I think I would take the Gold Fury Strider here, just based off the deck that we have already. But then again, I don't want to be playing neither that nor the Daring Falter effect. Yeah, nor this. So the only thing that I'm seeing here is Waylaying Pirates. I probably would hate pick that because the blue player to our left is already getting too much already. You don't even need another playable. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a very nice idol that gets sent to you. Unfortunately, Sunfire Torch did not wheel.
Yep.
You can shed a tear for the boy. Okay,
That was
that's a
unexpected.
that is extremely unexpected. That's a very late Sunshot Militia. We are very happy to see that.
Yep. I mean, it's even like I saw it
Mhm.
in one building sealed deck, and I was like, wait a second, this is like this sideboard affinity artifact. Sorry, affinity enchantment that went through like whatever, like Karn or whatever, right? And like if that enchantment was like modern playable, and here I can also tap my creatures, probably this is gonna be good enough. And it also blocks tutus. So I was like,
yeah, the stats of itself is not great for a red white aggressive deck,
yeah.
but the ability of okay, there's a board stall. I guess I'll just tap all these irrelevant artifacts that I have lying around, all these, 1/1s that won't be blocking probably anyway, and just incremental damage.
Yeah, here I took the bad topper. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean all of those
Doesn't
cards are not
matter.
really cards that you want to have. Okay, that is a very late Altar Sword. It's definitely not that bad.
Yep.
People don't want to give it respect. So we're happy taking that, just having it as an option. Sorcerer Spyglass was once a rare, now a barely picked uncommon. Pack number 2.
Yeah, here I think it's very easy to pick this because 3/2 flyer it just can win the game by itself, and it also creates a thing after itself. Didn't read this. Is it good?
No, it's not.
Okay, so it can bring back a fetch land. I see.
Yeah, super good. I typically do sort of an internal once after I've done my first impressions of the set. I do a tier list and I try to keep it updated with further impressions that I get. This is currently in my F tier. In a green black deck, I probably have better spells to cast even for the 3 mana than a reanimate spell even. So I don't know. It's not great. Alltech Cloud Guard is definitely the correct pick here. It's debatable for being the best white common. It's either that or Miner's Guidewing. Both are flying. What a surprise. It's very efficient, very good at what it does. It's a slam pick, and we're happy with that.
Yeah, from this I hope to will Ancestor's Aid. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that I'm willing anything else. Maybe the
Well,
dinosaur, but
obviously, fingers crossed. We're hoping for Torch, but that's probably not
yeah,
happening. It's either
Torch.
Aid or Torch that we want from this pack. Nothing really else. We don't really care about anything else as well.
Okay, here it was like between this and a braid,
Mhm.
and I took a braid because it's a bit cleaner in the way that it deals with things. It was also kind of sad to let this card go, but
Yeah.
at this point I don't have like premium removal in my deck,
Hmm.
so I figured that I'll pick up. I think that the braid is a premium removal. What do you think?
It is. It is. It is a downshifted uncommon after all, so there's a reason why it wasn't uncommon. The set has a lot of artifacts in it. Creatures are mostly artifacts. Most of the best creatures in the best archetypes are artifacts as well. Namely the 4/4 golems in blue-white that tends to come out extremely often. Very good in that. But then again, yeah, even if you take the Petrify or the Tech Cloud Guard, it's not really that bad of a pick either
Yeah,
way. Like you have three cards, you can pick either one of them. It's not a mistake. But if we're nitpicking, definitely your braid is the correct pick here.
cool. And then I don't know what's going on, but
Ooh.
we just keep getting the stuff and we take it.
Yeah, I get at this point you can kind of at least, scout through the rest of the pack. So obviously the rare's missing. Whoever took, someone took a rare. There's three uncommons still in the pack. Okay, so the other card was either a foil or a common that was taken. The cave is still there, so we can't really make any, judgments out of that. Most likely, if I have to just completely play mind games here, we can ignore whatever the rare is. There's obviously good rares that could be anything, of the above. But probably the second card that was picked, knowing that we sent out a lot of blue cards, I'm assuming that the card that is missing here, that is a common, is the Water Wind Scout. That's at least, if I had to place my money on it, that's where my money would be.
Mm. Yeah, and also for me, I mean, it's just pick three, so we don't know. But to me, both pick two and pick three means that probably white is like really open because this is a very good card, and I don't know. I mean, the fact that I got two insanely good white cards here,
Yeah.
and then I'm getting a great white card here. I think that I'm very happy where I am in terms
I
of.
don't think you can judge off the pick two because the rare is missing. So it could have been even it
Yeah,
could
yeah,
be something like unstable glyph bridge, and even then, it was a great white rare. You obviously take that over those commons.
yeah, yeah.
But pick three, where you can start to assess signals is definitely pick 3 through 6. Those are the good, points in time where you can definitely start to assessing signals of, okay, are my neighbors really avoiding these colors and so on. So, but yeah, it's definitely an Tech Cloud Guard, no questions asked here.
That way it reprint.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here I'm just again very happy. I got premium removal. Um, I don't think there is much for me to consider here.
Um, in my opinion, there is. Diamond Pickaxe works very well with the cheap flyers plan as well. Not only is it a pump for the cheap flyers to make them better, but also makes treasure, so allows splashing. But obviously, Petrify is a bit too premium of a removal to pass up, so Petrify is the correct pick here. But Diamond Pickaxe is definitely something that you want to consider having in the deck. Considering you already picked up two Tech Cloud Guards, so there's some flyers there. You still have that Miner's Guide Wing, you still have that Angel, you have a non-zero amount of flyers, and any one of them is very happy to carry that.
Yeah.
And even if the worst case scenario, if you get a Goblin Tomb Raider plus this is a nice combination as well.
Okay. I mean, for me, what I was concerned about is Equip 2 feels a bit, I don't know.
It feels a bit bad, but
Yeah,
it
I see what you
prevents the shenanigans of turn one flyer, turn two this equip, and then the game's pretty much over because you're playing a 4-drop on turn three,
mean.
and then at that
Yeah.
point,
Limited version of Ragavan. Also,
uh huh.
Also, what is cool about Treasure is that it makes Sunshot Militia better. It makes Guardian of the Great Door better and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Here it was tricky between Acrobatic Leap and Thousand Moons. I noticed that I picked a bunch of removal, so I felt like I want to fill my curve with creatures a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely made the correct choice. Yeah. Obviously, Join the Dead is a bit nice sight to see for the one black player probably in the whole pod.
Yeah.
Another point in this format in general, just sort of a point is, there's a lot of good non-creature spells. And you can easily get carried away with those non-creature spells where you start taking, okay, that's a good one, that's a good one, that's a good one, and then realize a bit too late maybe or later on that, wait, I only have like 10 to 12 creatures, which is definitely not a place you want to be. So I would prioritize, even if in a situation like this where none of the picks are extremely high priority or very important to the plan that we have, just take a 2-mana 2/2 bear.
Yep.
It's just a creature. It'll do its thing.
Yep. Okay, so here I was thinking, I actually feel kind of good about this pick because there's like nothing I want to play. I don't want to play second Daring Discovery for sure. I don't want to play the 2/2 Death Touch probably because it's just a synergy with Descent, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna take this. Who knows? Like I remember that I have Bat Colony. Who knows? Maybe I'm gonna pick up a bunch of caves. Maybe I'll incidentally have some, black sources or treasures, and then having another go at my bombs, or at even non-bomb creature. Would be nice value.
It's completely correct. There's nothing that we want to play. Another Chance is probably the best. It's not even probably, it's literally the best card in the deck. Second to it probably would be Twists and Turns, but we're not very interested in playing them. And even if we get something to splash, we probably would splash this because this is sort of more of a build around card. Another Chance is just good value, especially since we have, once again, flyers and a bomb creature.
Yep. Super easy, super happy.
Rewarded. This is at this point you're just getting a medal from your opponents.
Yep.
Oh.
Very happy again.
Now it's an interesting one. I probably would pick up the Dig Site Conservator.
Interesting. To not like as a main deck answer to their stuff, right?
It sometimes it just happens to be a main deck answer to Descent decks. Because there's gonna be one or two players that play a Descent deck, right? So it just so happens to be a hate piece in a 2-drop that's okay already, an okay value. But this comes up oftentimes quite a lot in the form of I'll just attack blindly because I don't have anything to cast in my hand with 4 mana up. And your opponent's like, I kind of want to kill it, but I don't want to kill it as well because, just discover 4, get an All-Tech Cloud Guard even though you have nothing in hand.
Yeah.
It surprisingly brings a lot of value, a lot more value than it looks. Yeah. So I probably would pick up this instead of the Wonderglyph, but even then, it's not that big of a difference, honestly. Both are good 2-drops.
Yep. That's actually interesting perspective from the standpoint of this being actual clean card advantage, whereas this is filtering.
And surprisingly, getting a card to the graveyard, especially when it has a sacrifice ability on it, is a bit of an easier condition to fulfill rather than getting it tapped.
Yep. Yeah, like I guess one of the reasons why I picked this was that digging, because I have very spiky power level, like I want to cast my 4-drop, so I want to cast my 3-drop. Like the fact that it helps me find them kind of was a tiebreaker for me. But also this card, it looked like, to me, when I just saw it, it looked kind of really good. But then, people also say it's good, right? But like this awkward pay 4 means that they can hit me with like Fire Ice or whatever, and then I won't be able to pay 4, and then I kind of feel feel stupid.
Sure, but I mean, if they spend mana to kill your 2-drop, that's sort of fine.
Yeah,
You
that's
know.
true. But I mean, I already have like, I guess not that many 1-drops, but like this creates, sorry, creatures with toughness 1, but this I guess
Yeah.
creates toughness 1. I don't know. This
Yeah.
has toughness 1, so it was a bit. But in best of 1, no
This
one is playing this sort of
It's
like.
not only that. There's not really a lot of removal that does 1 damage in this format.
Okay.
There's actually none that I can think of.
Here it was pretty easy. Both the cards that we wanted
Yeah.
are away, but here between this and Family Reunion, it's easy.
Yep.
My dream was dead,
Yeah,
so I took it.
I would probably still take the back colony just to give a slight middle finger to the one, if anyone even wants to play the caves deck. Okay, archaeologist is a bit too
Yeah,
late here.
of course.
I would, I would probably happy to pick that up and consider playing it over Panicked Altar.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
do have, yeah, we do have artifacts that are good. Even maybe even we get like another torch in pack 3. That's a nice, small combo. We got the idol that can obviously be destroyed in one way or another.
yeah. But here I decided to meme with the
Okay,
cave I have.
okay.
Here again I'm memeing.
Yeah, yeah. The memeing continues.
Here I'm letting them pick green and blue.
Yeah, correct. Okay. Okay. This is a bit of a sad back 3.
Yeah, I was really tempted to pick a rare
Uh-huh.
because 20 gem is 20 gem, but this is a good 2-drop, so
Yep.
this
That
is
is
good, right?
that is completely correct. It's very good. I don't know why 17 lands, statistically rated so badly. It's at least a 2 mana 2/3, but typically it works a lot better if you have, 1-drop flyers.
Yeah.
Then it raises, the power level of your deck tremendously. Sure, it's not, super good when you're already behind by a lot, but then again, what 2-drop is.
Yeah, and here I guess cards that stand out to me is the bat and this
Correct.
thing to a lesser degree.
The one card that stands like Deep Cavern Bat, good, definitely a standout. The biggest standout to me is Staunch Crewmate. It's a very good 2-drop for blue. The uncommon,
one.
the one to the yeah. It's insanely good in blue. It does everything that you want in a blue deck to find either a pirate, which some of the even the pirate artifact one, the 2-drop, it's still an artifact and
Yep.
it's a pirate. There's a lot of incremental value that it finds, especially since blue random 2-drop artifacts like the needle and the frozen iceberg or whatever it's called. Those are just random artifacts that are very good value. So it's a 2-drop that draws a card, then it's a
Yeah.
2/1.
Yep. Okay, so here between Torch and Hammer, I took Hammer because it's generically